Weddings are a huge thing in the Philippines. Couples spend months, sometimes even years, planning that one big spectacular night to be etched in their hearts forever. However, many couples fail to plan for what actually happens after the wedding life. In this episode, we ask a financial advisor what steps newly married couples should take to plan their lives way beyond the white dress and black tux. I'm Edric Mendoza, and this is On the Money.
Before we got married, my husband and I decided that we would focus on our careers first before having kids. Now, after 2 years, our firstborn is on the way. With the rising cost of education, we are deeply concerned on how we can afford to send our child to school. Also, our priorities have changed. Instead of renting this condo, we are looking to buy our own place, where our future children can have more space to play. We do have a modest amount of savings, but with most of our income going to our burgeoning household expenses, how can we still save up for a house and our child's education?
Today, we talk to Janet Lau, Sun Life Financial Advisor, to give all you newlyweds out there, or even those who are still in the wedding planning stage, tips on how to carve a financial path that will suit you and your family to be. Thank you for joining us, Janet.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
I wanted to find out, given the video we saw, the needs of a newlywed couple, do you think that they will still have enough to save for like education and other type of goals? What advice would you want to give families or couples like that?
With whatever financial objectives that they would have, it is possible. What would be crucial is that they should pin down the goals that they have for a stable and sound financial plan.
How do you set up goals? Go ahead.
Okay. They should determine their economic value.
Sure. Big words, huh? So
Each spouse is a contributor to the family income, so they have to protect that, and that is the second step.
So wait, I'm just going back to the first step. Determine the economic values. How does a person do that? So husband and wife, let's call them TJ and Sharon. Okay. How would they now protect their, how would they determine the economic value?
Okay, from the video that we've seen, we know that TJ and Sharon brings home 50,000 pesos and 20,000 pesos each on a monthly basis. So that would be 70% and 20% of the family's income monthly. So that is the economic value.
Okay. So what value they contribute? More so.
That's right.
Okay. What about any money they would have in savings? Is that part of the economic value or just the income that they're able to generate?
I would say if they have just started up as a newlywed couple, then the economic value would be what they bring home, not what they already have.
Okay, good. So good to know. And then after determining that, what is the next step? After you determine the economic value, right? The 50,000, 20,000, that's about 70-30 split in the home. What would be the next step, Janet?
Okay, the next step would be coming up with a solid foundation to protect the future economic value.
Sure.
And that would be an insurance policy. They should go into life insurance now, and also probably consider disability or critical illness.
Okay, for each partner.
For each spouse.
Is actually contributing.
Yes.
Right, okay. So if it was a one-income home, then just the
no, that doesn't
male or female who would be the income provider?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
I've always believed that everybody should have an insurance policy because at the end of the day, you would be liable to those that you leave behind.
Okay, those who have dependents. Okay, makes sense. All right, so in this case, how would they now determine the future value or future economic value? So let's say TJ's 50,000, what insurance coverage would be sufficient for him as far as that goal?
Okay, coming up with the amount of coverage that each would need would require some computations. Okay, it's a lot of dealing with numbers.
Sure, no general rule of thumb like 3 to 6 years of income.
But one thing we should remember is, can the couple afford the premiums or the savings that they have to set aside for the insurance policy?
All right. Okay. So at least the principle is clear. You need to look at protection after you determine economic value. The third step? in setting up the goals?
The third step probably would be looking into other objectives that they have. Like in this case, they wanted to prepare for their child's education. And also purchasing their own home. So we
good goals, right?
Great goals.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a reality.
Yeah.
So what we should do is to take a look at the time frame that they have. So do they want a baby right away, or are they going to wait for like 5 years down the road before planning for a baby?
Right.
So that would be like 6 years after marriage if they would, you
Have
know,
it at that time.
conceive right away. But would the house be the probability of purchasing a new home would be easier for them? So maybe they can put that first in line and then check out their monthly income, how much percentage should go into that savings, and maybe somewhere down the road, if they get more income, more than they're getting right now, then maybe they can start up saving for the child's education, even if there's no baby yet.
Right. So what is clear in this third step in setting up the goals is prioritizing.
Yes.
Prioritizing and establishing them. Now, let's talk about the process. So for this couple, it is possible to save. They're doing this. What is the process in being able to achieve those goals now?
Okay. I always say discipline is very important here.
Wonderful.
You can come up with any kind of plan, any kind of system that might work for you when you start with it, but you know what? This is long term. So stick with it. Stick with a plan. Now, also, get in touch with the financial advisor on a regular basis. See what new options are out there.
Now, you mentioned the plan. Maybe you could give us pointers on how to set up that plan. So we know the goal.
Okay.
Now, are there steps in order for them to now create that plan that they might be able to follow and review and continue to seek the advice of advisors for?
Okay. Again, the role of a financial advisor is also very crucial here, because he or she is the one person who is knowledgeable about this.
Sure.
And like what the title says, he or she is there to advise. Yeah. So they sit down, they come up with all these figures. They have to be open to each other for the financial advisor to better give them his or her recommendation.
Sure.
So computations are needed, and also trust would be very important also.
Sure.
So,
what about determining the future value? So I know that my goal is education. You gave an example, maybe 5 years down the road, have the baby, and then have the college 18 years after the baby's born. So with that, do they now establish the value of that so that they now know what to work towards and then start saving with that value in mind? Steps like that.
We have to keep in mind that there is inflation, and it's there. It's like it's an everyday thing. So we have to consider the future value of whatever financial objectives that they have. We can talk about, say, for example, going to a certain school, and the annual tuition fee would be $100,000
currently
for the school year. But then again, 10 years after, or 18 years after, when the baby would be going off to college, it would be a bigger amount.
Different scenario.
Yeah. So we have to consider that also. And also to find specific fan baskets as storehouses for their savings. My personal financial
approach,
plan is I would segregate each accounts or each investment that I have depending on my plan.
So with the future value, let's say the example of education, 18 years down the road, for example, you use whatever increase in tuition you might see from the 100,000. You now have the total amount.
Yes.
And then you work backwards. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You work backwards to determine how much you will need to save every month or
That's
year
right.
from that amount. And then that amount, you will assume certain rates of what sort of
where you
instrument,
invest your money.
Right.
Yeah.
To help you now bridge the gap and achieve the goal.
That's correct.
And then that's when you mentioned earlier that you now follow through and you have discipline, right? How do you now suggest or advise them to keep track of this whole plan?
A regular revisiting of their plan will be very important. At least once every 2 years.
Okay.
Now, today you're newly married, you don't have a baby. 2 years after, they might already have a baby.
Another one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, things change, or maybe they started up with a business and business is booming. They have other protections they have to consider. Maybe protecting the business, for instance, things like that. So revisiting the plan and
every
reviewing the plan with a financial advisor every 2 years at least would be very important.
Excellent. All right. We're going to have more questions in a bit. We just have to pause for a short break. Stay tuned. On the Money, we'll be right back.
This is the venue where people generate employment opportunities. More than relying on big markets, they provide local jobs, use proudly Filipino resources, and promote entrepreneurial development. To become your own boss, to make your own opportunities, and to create your own bright future, I'm Ria Tanwaco Trillo. Let us talk to the people behind the most successful small and medium enterprises, the brilliant minds who struggled successfully to help build a strong economy. Shop Talk, Thursdays, 7 p.m.
This week on Philippine Realty TV, we visit the Queen City of the South and bring you the best of what Cebu has to offer. From innovative real estate projects to world-class furniture. And we discover how leisure has found a new expression in Mactan.
Welcome to Oceanfront Private Pool Villa.
This is Philippine Realty TV
In Cebu!
This Sunday, 9:30 p.m. on ANC.
Next on Green Living, take a look at the new generation of bicycles. They're light, strong, sustainable, and made of bamboo. Meet this well-known artist whose creative ideas on eco-art are crystal clear. Plus, we review the simplest tips and tricks you can be doing right now to live a greener life. All these and more on Green Living, Tuesdays 9:30, only on ANC.
There are more than 7,107 reasons to choose Philippines.
I chose Philippines for the good wind and great people.
Ho scelto le Filippine per le onde e le spiagge magnifiche.
Philippines を選んだ理由は美味しいトロピカルフルーツを食べれるからです。
Me gusta Filipinas porque es el paraíso.
Share the fun. Choose Philippines.
Welcome back to On the Money. Let's check what Salve Duplito has for us in Salve Says.
A young couple sent me this email. Dear Salve, we got married 2 years ago and have one toddler. Right now we are renting our house and starting our own businesses. We have around 30,000 pesos in savings and have some land in the province, which we could sell for maybe 20,000 pesos. Which one should we buy first, a car or a house? Sincerely, Dino and Raquel. I love the energy and optimism among young couples who are planning their finances. So congratulations, because you're one of them. Now, Your question is common among Filipinos where access to barriers for cars and homes are historically high. Now, cars are cheaper, so it's the first common choice, but it's a depreciating asset, while the prices of homes get better with time. I recommend getting a modest home first before a car, and I underscore the word modest. But the better question here is not which one to prioritize, it is how to tell when you can afford them. Both cars and homes have hidden fees. They have high maintenance costs. Once you own them, there's no one else to run to when the pipes are busted or there's electric work to be done. These things you have to include in your budget. Cars also have very high maintenance costs. You need around 40,000 for sedans and 70,000 a year for SUVs to maintain them in the casa. And you want to do that because you want to have high resale value. Now, sit down together and talk about your 5-year goals. And whether you decide on getting a car or a home first, make sure that your emergency fund, your education fund, and your retirement goals are not placed in the back burner because of these expenses. I know working through the numbers is difficult, and you might argue from time to time. So work through the issues and don't quit just because you're afraid of having a fight. Learning the real language of family finance is the real test of marriage. But when things are getting hot, step back and gaze at a picture of your dream home or car. Good luck!
Still with us is Janet Lau, Sun Life Financial Advisor, and of course, Melissa Herculeo with your money questions.
Hello.
Mel?
Hi, Janet.
Yeah.
Hello, Melissa. Such an interesting discussion.
Newlyweds, huh?
That's right. And, you know, I like what you said, actually, that regardless of whether the other spouse works or not, they should still be insured.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because they do. Yeah, they have a value. You know, so well, everyone has a value.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so first question comes from Vanessa, who asks, how do you go about mapping out priorities in a marriage with clients? Do you have them build a home first and hold off on children, or vice versa? Also, do many of your clients already know what they want to prioritize? After all, each couple is different.
Good question.
Okay, so you know what? Different folks, different strokes.
Right.
So not one person would be, not two person would be the same.
Okay.
So yes, I have a variety of clients who would have different priorities, and sometimes it's a mess. They would want this, and that today.
Oh my goodness.
So the
all
rule,
at the same time.
all at the same time. Now I always tell them, let's prioritize, because you know what? How much can you afford to set aside for each goal?
Right.
How much can you set aside in terms of savings, and make sure that on a regular basis you do set it aside? Again, discipline, and let's see the time frame.
Okay, so that's what you would prioritize first. And then would you ever split it up, and at some point, maybe first 3 years, you're saving only for the home, then start saving for the baby, which is coming along in 2 years' time? Or would you start building up from the first year and put a larger amount each year towards a child?
Now, how I would do it, how I would advise my clients would be, if you have plans of coming with a baby somewhere down the line, then why not start saving today?
Right.
That really depends if you can afford it or not.
Right. So between the two, timing and money availability, which one would be the priority for you? Because you use those factors, and I thought that was very good. But if a person had to choose, this is only the money I have, or this is the timing I have for the goals, which one would you say is a bigger priority?
I would say the money.
Money availability.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Amy asks, my parents are not too fond of my fiancé, and they keep telling me to have a separate secret savings account from him in case anything goes wrong. I don't want to enter into this marriage keeping things from him. However, the idea of my own account isn't a bad thing. Do I tell my fiancé about it? I don't want to hurt his feelings.
Okay.
Tough one.
Wow. Very tough one. Okay, because this involves family right now. I'm thinking Amy has to deal with the emotional side, and also being practical about finances. You know what? You get married, you lie down in bed every night with your spouse. If you cannot trust the person beside you, then who can you trust?
Right.
So maybe not keep it a secret. If both spouses would agree to come up with an account, they can tell each other that, hey, you know what, I'm saving in this certain investment or in this certain bank, and then I'm putting in money regularly. Maybe you should do the same. And, you know, it's your money, this is my money, it's your money. We have that respect.
Right.
Now, to go deeper into it and to find out what the other already has or is saving up or how much it's earning, I think that would be something, they have to be discreet about that. Again, respect should be there.
But my question on the actual disclosure is, do you have because they're not married yet, still fiancé, is there a general guide you give people that are not married that they disclose, and then when they're married they disclose more, for example? Is there a difference, or should it be, you know what, I'm going to marry you, so you might as well disclose everything anyways?
I guess it depends on the relationship. There are people who get into a relationship, whether it's marriage or you know they are engaged, that they would start up being discreet about what they have, and then continue with that kind of behavior as they
even into marriage.
Even into marriage.
Wow.
But then again, people change. Maybe after a few years into the marriage, they feel comfortable about each other, the trust is established, and that they would be able to share more about, you know, personal stuff like their finances, like their savings.
Okay.
But
so,
would you, sorry, go ahead. Okay, but would you suggest they sit down and discuss their kind of financial plan, like how they view finances and what goals they have, and also disclosure on any debts they might have?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a money question.
Absolutely. I mean,
literally the money question.
Yeah, it's a responsibility that both parties go into, and that if one spouse would have a problem later on, it would also be the problem of the other spouse, and vice versa.
Right.
So I think it is important that they would share things like that, they would disclose information like this with each other.
That is important.
As long as both agrees to it.
Yes.
I mean, if one would insist the other tell her or him everything, yet he doesn't want to do the same, that might cause a problem.
That's going to be a problem.
Yes.
But you mean that is also a problem of trust. I mean, if you can't even trust them at that stage, exactly, Mel, maybe you should really think about whether you should get married, right?
Or not.
Yeah? Okay. Great advice.
Jennifer asks, my husband and I agreed that we'd try for children right away after the wedding. He changed his tune right after we tied the knot and decided to save up for a condo unit first. We've been married for 3 years now, and it doesn't feel like we're close to affording a condo big enough to fit 2 children. I'm already 35 years old, and I'm scared my chances of conceiving are slimmer with each passing day. What can we do to make more money fast?
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of issues here.
Yeah, a lot,
Yeah,
a lot.
like, oh.
That's quite a
It's
long...
a sticky one.
Yeah, very. Yeah, they have to sit down and talk about this. They have to, again, the revisiting and reviewing of whatever they've started up in terms of financial planning when they just tied the knot would be very important because things change, priorities change, people change. Some things might have come up, or maybe their profile as an investor would have already changed. Right. So yeah, both of them have to sit down, make it a regular thing that both of them review what they've established before, and then from there on, they can work their way out of the problem.
Right. And should they manage their expectations of the size of the condo they think they need for these 2 children that they're planning on having but haven't started?
Had yet. Right. You know what? They can plan it out even if the kids are not there yet. But what would be important also is, can they afford it?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, they want 2 kids, but if they can get a 2-bedroom apartment instead of you know, a big condo unit, then maybe it would be better for them. Yeah,
that's right. Kids can always share, or you could start with 1 child and take it from there.
Exactly. Agree.
Okay, so manage their expectations, sit down again to at the drawing board.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Robbie asks, My wife is fond of traveling and shopping, and I feel we've wasted so much of our funds on her whims. I'd like to tell her that we need to start saving, but I need to have a comprehensive financial plan to show her that we should do so to have an emergency fund for unexpected instances. How do I go about this?
Easiest way would be putting a leash on her. But I guess
not literally, for the record.
Oh well, yeah. Well, you know what? It really depends on the couple, but
I like that.
Yeah. This again, we come to discipline. Now, if the wife cannot do it herself, maybe the husband, Robbie, right?
Yes.
Should come into the picture and do it for her. How many credit cards does she have?
Right.
If she, you know, if maybe the credit card, the availability of the credit card is causing a lot of trouble, maybe he should just get those cards and just cut them into two.
Yes.
And then, of course, she would need money to spend, so maybe give her a regular allowance on a weekly basis, not monthly.
Like a fun fund.
Yes.
Yeah. You can do whatever you want with your whims.
As long as you stick.
But it's a
inside
diet.
that.
Okay, thank you so much, Janet. Very enlightening. Anyway, send us your money questions via email, Facebook, or Twitter, and we'll try to answer them in our upcoming episodes or on our next Q&A Friday.
There's really so much to ask about these newlyweds and so many different concerns, right? If we only had more time. Unfortunately, that's it. Thanks, Janet. Mel,
thank you for
that's our show today. I'm Edric Mendoza. Join us again tomorrow for more talk and tips so you're always right on the money.
The risk of climate change is real. The question is, what can we do about it? Find out June 25 on ANC. For 16 years, we've been bringing happiness to children. 3,355 were sent to school through scholarship. 1,633 were sheltered in our children's village. 51,545 were nourished through our feeding programs. 1,730 were rescued from the dangers of abuse. 40,427 were given medical assistance. Bantay Bata 163, a happier world for every Filipino child.